found the weapons of mass destruction. We found biological laboratories.
Everybody knows that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
I have every reason to believe that the intelligence that we were operating off was correct.
No question we have said that Saddam Hussein possesses biological and chemical weapons.
We know where they are. They're in the area around Tikrit and Baghdad and east, west, south, and north somewhat.
All this will be made clear in the course of the operation for whatever duration it takes.
Are you confident that you'll also find weapons of mass destruction?
I believe we will find evidence of the programs of chemical and biological weapons, yes.
How about the actual weapons?
Well, I just don't know. Let's wait and see what the team that's over there...
Actions continue with our new exploitation teams that have been brought in.
And that we will in fact find weapons or evidence of weapons programs that are conclusive.
It is somewhat puzzling, I think, that you can have 100% certainty about the weapons of mass destruction's existence and zero certainty about where they are.
Do you agree? And does it matter whether or not you find those weapons?
Well, you might ask the Prime Minister that. We won't be proven wrong.
This is a process that takes some time, and it will ebb and flow.
One thing we know is that he had a weapons program.
I don't know anybody that I can think of who has contended that the Iraqis had nuclear weapons.
We believe he has, in fact, reconstituted nuclear weapons.
But on the specific issue of weapons of mass destruction, it's going to take time, and we're going to have to be patient.
Over time, the truth will come out.
Now, it's going to take time to find anything because
People will find that we presented a solid case, a case that is there and was there and will remain there.
So it's going to take a period of time to find the people. I don't think we'll discover anything myself.
Still thought that 3.5 months for new inspections was a rather short time before pulling it, and especially when we now see that they say, the U.S. government is saying that, look, you have to have a bit of patience, these things take time.
I believe that we will find the truth, and the truth is he was developing a program for weapons of mass destruction.
I think what will happen is we'll discover people who will tell us where to go find it.
You're not going to find it simply in a house-to-house search. You're going to find it when people start to talk to you.
It is not like a treasure hunt where you just run around looking everywhere hoping you find something. I just don't think that's going to happen. The inspectors didn't find anything, and I doubt that we will.
Are people going to find out the truth? And the truth will say that this intelligence is good intelligence, no doubt in my mind.
What we will do is find the people who will tell us. There are a lot of people who lie and get away with it, and that's just a fact.
He has not developed any significant capability with respect to weapons of mass destruction. He is unable to project conventional power against his neighbors.
We are able to keep arms from him. His military forces have not been rebuilt.
Is U.S. credibility on the line over weapons of mass destruction in Iraq?
I'm not exactly sure what that means.
Depends on the assumptions. It depends on how long the war lasts. It depends on whether weapons of mass destruction are used.
What we have done is we have taken estimates looking at different variables and said, if this were the case on this variable and then on this variable, but there's so many variables that the numbers of possible point answers create a range that simply isn't useful.
Yeah, I'm just not going to get into any speculation about numbers.
We're dealing with a country that can really finance its own reconstruction, and relatively soon.
So the money's going to come from Iraqi oil revenue, as everyone has said. They think it's going to be something like $2 billion this year. They think it might be something like 15, 12 next year. They think it might be something like 18 to 20 plus the next 19 the next year.
I will soon submit to Congress a request for $87 billion.
Why did the administration so dramatically underestimate the cost of this war?
We did not have perfect foresight into what we were going to find in Iraq.
With the cost of the war rising and the search for weapons of mass destruction going nowhere, the administration turns to David Kay.
This work is being carried out under the direction of Dr. David Kay, a respected scientist and former UN inspector who is leading the weapons search in Iraq.
We are determined to take this apart. We have a tremendous group of dedicated American men and women involved in this with the best assets of the intelligence community can provide.
Yet Dr. K and his team are making progress.
We have found a large body of continuing activities and equipment. We are surprised by new advances that we're making.
Network of laboratories and safe houses controlled by Iraqi intelligence and security services.
And unlike pre-war intelligence, we don't require someone just to say something. We actually need the physical evidence.
Equipment suitable for continuing chemical and biological weapons research.
David Kay is not going to be done with this for quite some time.
David Kay wants more time.
And he says it could take another 6 to 9 months to make a definitive finding.
Administration is asking Congress for hundreds of millions more.
$600 million to fund the continuing search.
We have not yet found shiny, pointy things that I would call a weapon.
Before we can draw firm conclusions, we need to let the Iraq Survey Group complete its work.
We were all wrong, probably, in my judgment, and that is most disturbing.
It's inevitable that there will be an outside commission appointed on an issue of this gravity.
Have public hearings, and we will get to the bottom of this, and we will let the chips fall where they may.
Democracy, you have an obligation. Your obligation is to speak truthfully to the public. That's the basis of civility and our belief in our system of government.
It is going to require an outside effort, probably through an outside commission, to deal with some of these very serious problems.
Because I think explanations are important in a democracy.
This whole episode has caught the White House completely by surprise.
They've become so fearful of admitting error that they stand up and defend things that on their face are untruthful.
President Bush is being pounded with calls for an independent investigation into how U.S. intelligence so badly misjudged Iraq's capabilities before the war.
Having the president holding all the cards, appointing all the people, having everybody accountable to him is a very bad idea.
If you say you're going to war because he has weapons of mass destruction, and you don't find those weapons, it is not persuasive to jump to a second argument. Well, that didn't work, but here I've got a second explanation. I was asked if I would care to try to operationalize some of the comments I'd made about what was going wrong in Iraq. And so I said, if you, among other things, that if you're going to do this, you had to treat it like an intelligence problem, and that is not go looking for hidden weapons, but going looking for the people who would be associated with hidden weapons. Well, what I did is I formed teams for each of the areas, and we formally had hypotheses. Half the teams took a hypothesis that it was there, the other half said it wasn't there, and both followed exactly the same method. If you believe it's there, what is the proof that will in fact prove that hypothesis, or what evidence clashes with it? Same thing is true with the teams that took the hypothesis it wasn't there, is, collecting evidence. So yeah, you start with a viewpoint, a hypothesis, an academic would say, and you collect the evidence that will support our challenge. You tell them, go form and discuss with your team a hypothesis and get a strategy for doing it. And I just, I was unsure whether they would come back pro or con. And I really didn't care. And that was intentional.